If you're wanting to move to the panhandle of Florida and you're trying to figure out what is one of the best cities to raise a family in, well, you're in luck. We're going to chat about it today. Let's get into it.
When I lived in Niceville, one of the first things that I noticed was just how family friendly the entire area really seemed to be. There's a huge homeschooling community out there and so many events and just parks, all these things that seem like they're actually geared towards raising kids and making it easier. There are sidewalks all over the place. I mean, just through the main part of town, you can go on this very long walking trail that's all sidewalks and no cars are coming through there. It's very kind of safe to walk around with your kids. So whether you've just had a child and you're still trying to work on your fitness journey, maybe walking and pushing a stroller, or you need to get the little one down for a nap, and we all know that for some reason motion tends to help children fall asleep, whether it's driving around in a car or pushing them in a stroller or pulling them behind you on a bicycle. It just knocks them right out. You have the ability to do all of those things right here in Niceville very, very easily. Most of the time you can get there from your neighborhood. You can just walk along a path and get there. Sometimes you might have to drive a little ways, but even if you do, it's not a far drive at all. Niceville isn't a particularly huge area to have to leave anyways.
It seems like almost everywhere you go in Niceville, they are tailoring it around families. Now, I'm not a family person myself. However, I see it every time I'm in Niceville. Even some of my favorite spots are very family friendly, such as Third Planet Brewing, which is a great little brewery. You can get some good local crafts there, and they've got a ton of stuff to do for the kids as well as the adults.
I liked taking stage there whenever I was still living there. They would have live music, and there's this huge outdoor area. You can bring your dogs. There are these picnic tables, and then there's this play area where there are balls set out there. So the kids make friends out there. The dogs are all hanging out. The adults are having a beverage, and there's always a different food truck over there. So you're getting a different kind of food. It's very chill, and there's plenty of parking too. Oh, and once a year they have a really awesome bonfire, which is epic proportions. So if you have really small children, I don't know, maybe stand further back because of their lungs, but otherwise it's a really cool experience. It really brings the community together. You can meet all kinds of locals at these big events.
In addition to family-friendly restaurants, there are a ton of other things that are very family-friendly, such as parks.
Oh, yeah. I used to love going to all the parks in Niceville. You've got little parks like Kiwanis Park, and then you've got bigger ones like Turkey Creek, and then, of course, what's that one? Fred Gannon?
Fred Gannon, yeah.
That's a bigger one. And you've got water access, you've got hiking trails, just everything that you could possibly want is just right there. It's so easy to just take the kids out and let them run off all of that energy, because man, I know my daughter's almost 5 and she's got more energy than I think I've had in my entire life combined, and she doesn't nap anymore, but at least if I let her go run off her energy, then she's a little bit more chill in the house. Oh, and if you have furry friends, there's a huge dog park just to the north of College Boulevard, I think. So just to the north there's one of the biggest dog parks I've ever seen. This thing is massive, and they've got it separated out too, so you can have an area for little dogs and then an area for your bigger pups. And it's also a great place for your bigger kids that might get tumbled by a bigger dog. They always seem to be super friendly, but sometimes they're just a little happy to see you and might run you over a little bit.
There are also a bunch of local events which are really, really cool that Niceville does, completely different than a lot of others. They have the basics, like the parades. There are several of those per year. But the one that I like the most, in fact, it's probably one of my favorite events in the entire area, besides maybe Beer Fest and Tequila Fest, because, they have something called Boggy Bayou Mullet Festival. Well, it's just Boggy Bayou now. It used to just be called the Mullet Festival, but apparently too many people were wearing mullet wigs, so they decided to change the name. And it is a celebration to the fishing community that's out here, and specifically the mullet fish, which is a very delicious fish, but very bony, I found out.
Yep.
So you're just digging bones out of your teeth, but it is really, really good, and it's kind of like a little ode to that. And this is really cool for families because think of it kind of like a fair. So you're going to have your crazy rides, a little carnival looking thing, the zipper ride that used to make you puke as a kid, but we still kept doing it anyway. There's fun houses. They do concerts there, so the grown-up kids that can enjoy some beverages or just listen to some good music will enjoy that. And then, of course, my favorite carnival-style games. Those are always fun. Huge ripoff, but very fun.
One one of the most important things to families and us as parents, of course, is education for our children, right? It's not all about what are the fun things to do, but also what are the important, building and teaching structures and foundations for our children. So you aren't in luck. Here in Niceville, we have some of the highest rated schools in the area. They're constantly receiving accolades for how well they are teaching our children. And we constantly see, even here locally, we are always seeing very, very successful people coming out of the Niceville schools.
Now, another thing that they do so well in the school system out here in Niceville in particular is the extracurriculars. So these are your extra sports and cheerleading and all of that. And again, I know that, cheerleading's a sport, but you kind of get the point. All of their extracurriculars seem to do very, very well out here. So if you've got children that are either wanting to get into that or are already in that, this is a really great spot for them to advance whatever those extracurriculars are.
Obviously, another huge concern for parents is going to be safety, right? Especially because a lot of the people that are living in Niceville are commuting to and from Eglin, a lot of active duty military personnel, which means a lot of times a spouse is going to be at home by themselves with the children, right? So we want to make sure that we're in a safe area whenever there's only one person there or, one adult and multiple children, So thankfully, Niceville is one of the safest areas in our area. One of the safest cities in our area. That's a lot of areas. Even when I was living there, it seemed like almost every neighborhood had an officer that actually lived in the area. So even the local law enforcement is very easily accessible.
Now, another thing that's very important is getting the kids away from the screens and going outdoor and doing stuff because, that's generally why you move to Florida. You want to do some outdoor activities. So we've got a ton of that out here, okay? We've got, I don't even know how many boat ramps Niceville has. It's got to be a dozen or more.
It's a lot.
So a lot of different places to put your boat in the water, a lot of different places to go throw a kayak in the water, a stand-up paddleboard, maybe even just go swimming. And of course, if you want to go to the beach, that is just about 15 to 20 minutes away. Depending on which side of Niceville you're on, you're either going into the Destin beaches or into the Fort Walton Beach beaches.
You can also get onto a jet ski really easily. And then you've got Whitefield Park, which is so awesome. I used to take my daughter there all the time. You're on the bay, so the waves are super low. It's very shallow, but still like transparent water. Very beautiful. You've got, a view of the bridge, and you've got all this expanse to just hang out. It's really great for just going on walks because you have this huge stretch that you can just walk along and then walk back. And again, get the kids out into nature, get them barefoot this time, or you can float down Turkey Creek, I usually just walked down the boardwalk, up and down the boardwalk. It's 1 mile out, 1 mile back, but there are multiple points over there where you can actually throw a tube in, come all the way down and then get out. I never did it because that water is always really, really cold. But if you're coming from up north, it might not feel as cold to you, or, you have children, your kids never feel the cold. I don't know why. Sage will get into that water. It doesn't matter if it feels like ice. She's like, oh, it's great, Mommy. And I'm like, no, it isn't.
And for those of you looking for something a little bit longer, instead of just like a short, little, what do you call it, tubing, you can go up to Blackwater River, and they have tubing and kayaking there. One of the kayaking trails is 18 miles long or something crazy. Don't quote me on that, but it is fairly long. And then the tubing section is fairly short. But a really good time. There's a ton of little beaches to go on that you can kind of take a break on, eat a sandwich, have a cold beverage, but only in portions of it, because apparently you're not supposed to bring alcohol in other portions of Blackwater, I found out. Don't ask me how.
Actually, whenever I was pregnant with Sage, we went and took a kayak out, and we had a little, just like a very small portable grill, and we roasted hot dogs out there on one of those little beach encampments.
Oh, that's cool.
It was so cool. We just pulled off and then roasted some hot dogs, had a snack, and then went right back to it. It was awesome. The water was completely transparent and again, frigid, but it's still super fun because, kayaking and tubing, it's all a good time, even if the water is cold. It just is. It's a great time. If you guys haven't done it yet, if you're here locally and you haven't tried it yet, definitely give them both a try.
Oh, yeah. And it's very inexpensive, too. So this is not going to break the bank. I think it's $9 to rent one. They take you up there. They take you back. Maybe a little bit more than that, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly affordable. Now, Niceville boasts a ton of amenities. On top of all these other things that we're saying, the shopping is great. There are a ridiculous amount of restaurants for the size of the city, which is really cool. So you can get just about any of the major food style items that you that you can get. Now, if you're looking for something super hyper specific, this is a smaller town. You're not going to find, your vegan, soy-free bagels or whatever. Well, you might actually find that might be common enough. But for the most part, you're not going to find super specialty restaurants, but you are going to find the main ones, your Mexican food, great pizza. Landchart just moved in down there. That used to be one of the best pizza places in Destin. They now moved into Niceville. Great little family atmosphere there too. Just don't stay there too late because it starts to transition into a little bit more of a nighttime style situation. But a really, really good time.
One of the things that I really liked about living over there was the ability to have Publix delivered to my house via Instacart. And you've got all the normal drive-through restaurants, and for your shopping, you've got a what's it called? It's there's a smaller all organic type of grocery store. I can't remember the name of it right now, but then you've also got Publix, and then you've got an Aldi's is out there now.
Mm-hmm.
You got a Chick-fil-A. So the stuff where you start to see people who are a little bit more health conscious kind of leaning towards these types of businesses, we're starting to get them out there as well. And then for restaurants, like Mongo said, we got some amazing ones out there. Boathouse Landing is really good, and so is the Wharf 850, I think that is the full name, and both of those have amazing views. You can get really great steak at both of those if you feel so inclined.
And of course, if you don't find everything you're looking for in Niceville, do not worry. Niceville is centrally located to a ton of different things. You can take the bridge right into Destin. You get all the stuff that Destin has to offer. It's a very big touristy area if you've never been to our area, so it's got a ton of things. You've got Miramar Beach just a little bit further east than that, and then of course you can head into Fort Walton Beach and really just kind of fan out. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. You're going to have something nearby, and then of course, if you're not getting it directly near you, then you've got Panama City and Pensacola, each about an hour away. So if you wanted to take a little day trip out there to get something very specific, you have that option.
If you guys have any questions about all the things that there are to do in Niceville, or any questions about Niceville in general, we are local realtors here in the area. I'm AJ.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're locals right here. We're actually kind of in the Fort Walton Beach area. We service everything from Pensacola to Panama City Beach. We have agents specializing in each of these locations on our team. So if you have any questions specifically about Niceville, we've got somebody for you. Go ahead and give us a call, text, email. All of our contact information is on the screen for you.
If you made it this far, you're clearly getting some sort of value out of it, or you fell asleep midway through our video. Either way, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button and dinging that little bell, it will notify you for all of our videos so that you can learn everything there is to know about our area.
If this is your first time to the channel, thank you for coming over and for watching our videos. And if you're a returning subscriber, also thank you for continuing to watch our videos. We really, really appreciate you guys, and we love helping you. We've been getting calls, texts, emails, Facebook messages, and we absolutely love hearing from you guys. Every time we get on the phone, it's like, oh my God, it's AJ. Oh my God, it's Andrew. It's the best feeling in the world because you guys already know us. And so we just kind of feel like we already know you because, well, if you like us, then we know that you're good people, so we like you too. So please keep it up.